We are going to be making some changes on the POV aerial site. So we have a lot of changes that have been scanned in here, and most of them are very simple to make. There might be some things that take more time than what we want to do on this video, but most of them are not too big of a deal. We're going to be taking a look at some fonts and font weights and font colors and all of that kind of thing. Just some simple changes that don't take hardly any time at all to learn. You want to be logged in on cPanel. So you come in here, find where you need to be. We're on POV, so you're coming down in here, and you're wanting to get to that style.css that's inside the theme we're using, which is Pods Pro. We have all this here. You don't make any changes directly here. You make all the changes from here, and then you're going to paste it into here and save it. So the way that we know what we're dealing with is by right-clicking and clicking Inspect. And so then we can see what's going on inside of here. This is just divided up into sections of everything that's in here, divs, spans, and other things, but mostly divs. And so you come over here, you can right-click whatever it is you want to look at, and then it will go into it. And there are a lot of different layers to it, and so sometimes you have to look for a bit, but that will at least get you in the right place. First thing they want is to change the fonts to match the aerial photography is for font. And so everything should be as the aerial photography, other services header font. Let's make sure we have it on the right one. Anyway, she wants it Montserrat, and she wants it to be bold or extra bold. Let's make sure they're all that. We've been using two different fonts. I like the Montserrat better also. Varela Round we have in here. And so let me show you first the way to do it to change an individual thing, because it's good for you to know, and then we're going to make it a lot faster because we don't want to waste our time. Who wants to do that? And so we have Varela Round here. Now, you come in here, you type in the name of the new one. You need to be able to know how to do that. When you get Montserrat, it comes from fonts.google.com, and there are other ways you could find this out too, but this is where we get most of our fonts from, and so we can look up Montserrat here. And if you, maybe you can't see it on this page here, it's a different process than I normally do. Here, click plus, and then you can see the implementation down here, and you can see that all you have to do on this one is type Montserrat. A lot of times it's just the name. Sometimes it's not though, and it's some funky name instead of the actual name. So we can see it's just Montserrat. Now, the natural thing to think right now is, oh, I'll type in Montserrat right here, and that's very close to right. Okay, it worked. And then you're going to hit enter. Oh, and it all left it there. Most of the time, I don't know why I didn't do it this time, most of the time it erases everything underneath there. And it's just a quirk, an error within Chrome. And so normally what I do is I come in here and do it and replace it. You can see now that that's Montserrat right there. And we're at font weight 900. But I don't know. Let me see if we really have a 900 on here. I'm not sure if that's what we're loading or not. The place that you add fonts is in Genesis Theme Settings. That's where we're going to be doing it. There are other ways to do this. And then you can see here, no, we don't have that. But we also don't need that anymore. When you're getting a font from over here, you can specify which weights you want. And it looks like they don't have a 900 available on this. I think 900 is only available on the print version of it, not in the web version of it, I think. I think that's what's going on here. We're going to click Save. And then now we'll have the 900 available, or the 700 available, so that it will at least be better. Because I think right now it's doing an artificial one. It's probably loading it for me just because I've had Montserrat on here plenty of times before, but I don't think it would for other people. So we have that there, and we have that replaced. And now that is going to change it for every one of those headers. You see we changed the H1 here. That's header 1, right? And then we have H2, H3, etc. So we changed it for all of those. What we want to see right now is if we have any other Varelas in there. That was the round one that we're trying to avoid. And we only have two anyway, but what we're going to do then is click this little replace thing here, and everywhere that it says Varela Round, we're going to replace it with Montserrat. And we'll click replace all. And now we have no more Varela round and the whole thing. So we should be good everywhere. But I still want to look through what she's had to say. Yeah, let's look through here just to make sure. We'll come back to that in a moment. This is upside down, but luckily I'm an expert upside down reader, and I think all she's saying is change it, change it. And now we're getting into some things that are her inside pages, which we haven't done anything to set up yet. And it's a bit funny to have this one going on down here, because we're using that same photo on Applebee right now, and so it feels weird to have two websites with the same header, but I'm sure that she did those photos for Applebee. So that's all that we have on that part right there. What we want to do then, you copy everything, and you paste it into here. You always do it within cPanel, because if you do it within cPanel and you decide that you've done something wrong, you go back and you look and it's messed up, then you just hit Command-Z or Control-Z, and then it goes right back to as it was. But we actually do want it to stay as it was. No changes, so we're good. And that's changed for that part now. Now, we also had another request that I think that you can learn about some. We want you to change the color of that right there, and this gets more complicated. You probably wouldn't be able to figure out how to do that. I don't think that it's possible. I think. Let me see though. Let me see. Can we do it on this one or not? Yeah, we can. We just can't. Once you click on one of these, then it's default by the browser. You don't have any control. Before you click on it, then you can control it to some extent. This is already within style.css. You've got to watch out over here because you have all these different things. And so this one here is a different CSS file from a different thing, and you can't do anything with that. If it says style.css, you're probably going to be okay. That could be the name from something else too, so you need to watch out and make sure it's actually your style.css. And in this case, I know that it is, so there's nothing more for me to be doing. But I'm going to change its background color. I think she just said light blue. I don't think she said a flat light blue color. So she says gradient, no gradient, and she does have a gradient there, but I don't have a gradient on my screen. So I'm not too sure why she's seeing that. We're going to go ahead and change the background color though to a light blue, and we want to pull it from something that we've already used before and see if that can work. If we're going to do a light blue, I don't know how light she's thinking. If she wants to keep that the same color, we'll need to either change the, I think we'll make it even lighter yet. When it's possible, you want to use a color that's already been used somewhere else beforehand for the sake of consistency. We can try that there. That's still not light enough, so we're going to have to just keep on going over. But it's still better to start in that kind of place like that. And we're going to leave it like that. She might be wanting it really to be a little bit darker blue and then have it be white font, but we just don't know beforehand. We need to fix that border too. See how there's this weird level of contrast? And then we have down here, it says border. You can just click on this little thing and then just drag it around to whatever color you want it to be. In our case, we're wanting it to be probably, let's try it first with that, not quite dark enough. So then we can try it here. And that's too dark. And I don't think we have another one to use as an option. So again, we're not going to be able to keep it consistent. We're not going to be able to use something we've done before. You just want to have just enough contrast so that you can see that without it being a big deal. What happens now though, because it's going from that to the browser default here, it looks a little funny. Overall it does look a little funny, but that's okay. Good enough. Good enough for government work. This is not government work. So this is the wrong one here. See how we have that one open? You see that? I mean, you should be able to know that looks completely different than what it did before. And then you see here, and there's not the same. Ah, there we go. It says Pods Pro. If it says Pods Pro at the top, you're good to go. Make sure you don't have two of these open at the same time. You might end up accidentally saving the wrong one. Right afterward, I always refresh it. I don't actually always do it, but I usually do. And then that way it's an easy thing to be able to check to see if it really did get saved, if everything really did work as it should. We're going to go to the settings here because it has a little spinner And I hate spinners. And she said something about this section. I think all she said was change the font. Yep. I think that's all that we have on that part. Okay, now let me see. I don't know if you, by you I mean Becca. There might be someone else watching this besides Becca. Who knows? This could go viral. Okay, we got some things here. And I don't know. I don't think. No, that's not yours. I'm going to have you do this stuff. Put these onto the page. And then I will go back in and show you how to do it. Another CSS thing here. She wants to know if it can go all the way to the edges. I think the answer is no, not really. I'll try it out and see what I can do. And you can just keep watching now, and it might turn out that this is irrelevant. And if it is, then you can ignore it. Right now we have it set up to be our max width of 33%. And then the issue is we have a box wrap, and so then we have our max width of 1260. Okay, see how we have these little orange things pop up on the sides? Those are from margins. And you have padding also, and padding is, well, eventually we'll get down to some padding. Maybe, oh no, we won't actually on this one. Okay, let's look at something else. Green, there we go. Padding is green. So margins are outside of the box of the division, and they push things away, and padding is inside the box. And it will push things away, but it also just expands the size of that box. Hopefully that makes some sense. They're different things. They're used for different purposes. But we're not working on that one here. We're down here, and we need to make it so that then the box wrap is 100%. So I have 1260, and so then instead we're just going to see what happens with 100%. Might have a max width on those. Width, and so I just need to change that to 33.33% also. This might work okay. I don't really like the height there. I don't think I can make the height auto. That makes it disappear. And I don't want to go through anything complicated right now. There's a more complicated way to do things with some calculations. We're not going to deal with that right now, and I don't want to for this website anyway. That's probably still going to satisfy her. We have the height is 300 pixels. Let's see, about 350. That might be able to work in both places. I think that's going to work. And let's see what happens here if everything still as it needs to be. Yeah, I think that works. Yep, that'll work fine. So, you're not going to be able to necessarily know how to do all that stuff right off, and that's fine. But a lot of times you can just mess around with something and see what happens. The main thing is you want to keep track of your steps so that you can undo them as you go. And so, say that wouldn't have worked, then I need to be able to go back and change that over to, instead of being 300 pixel width, then instead of the 33%, I need to go back to the 300 pixel width, or I need to go back to the 1260 max width on it, those things like that. But you don't really need to deal with things like that right now. In general, the sort of things that make sense for you to change right now are colors and fonts and some basic spacing type things. So let's say we know that we want this to be bigger, and we're thinking for some reason on this site we know for sure this needs to be a bigger size. And we're going to make this ridiculously big just to make it obvious. So 100 pixels wide, or 100 pixels font size rather, sorry. And then we see this and we start to think, let's make it, actually, let's go even more. Let's go 150. There we go. Okay, then we start seeing this looks kind of crowded right here, right? And so you need some more spacing going on. And then you think, okay, I need to be able to know how to do that. And so you can look at margin here. And then there are 4 numbers in margin and 4 numbers in padding. And it goes top... I'm forgetting which one's next. Top... top right, bottom left. That's the order you got there. Okay, and anyway though, then you're going to be changing the, we're saying here on the bottom we want to be able to increase that. And so let's make it 41, 51. And you see how there's a bigger gap there between those? And you see, okay, now we've increased that. We probably need a little bit more padding now too. And then we can increase that. These things can be done individually. You can do them like in the all-in-one like this, but you can also then say margin bottom, padding bottom, padding left, etc. I know this isn't a very good tutorial, but I think it's going to get you enough of the basic ideas that you will be able to move forward in your understanding of what we're doing. Let's refresh this and make sure that things are as they should be. We don't want it to be that we accidentally saved something that was completely wrong. And it didn't load up the new one. I think that it will if I refresh it again. It didn't. Maybe I didn't save that ever on the widths of those. No, I did. Okay. So then that's an important thing to do. You want to keep refreshing until you get it right, because sometimes it doesn't load those things properly. Let's go through everything and just make sure that we haven't made any mistakes. Let's look for Varela. And we accidentally lost that on one of our times when we didn't check properly. Replace all those. And we got to do that. Make it blue again. You can watch me a second time. It's just as good as the first. We're going to take that and move it over. We got to make that border there. And now we're good. We need to make sure that this still works. This was really sensitive. I don't think it should make a difference changing it over to that. Yep, I think we're good on everything. Okay, now we have it all right. Refresh it again, make sure that everything is working as it should. Yep, we're all good on everything. Okay, I think that was all that we can really go through right now. Everything else will have to be done later. So those are some of the basics.